We're playing with a lot.
Out there. Thank you for coming. I'd like you to know that this is a session that's going to be in two parts. A presentation by our candidates at each one of these open sessions, and then a series of questions from the constituent representatives for faculty, middle managers, and board staff association. And we're starting today with our homegrown candidate, Dr. Bill Travis, and we agree that we'll go ahead with the presentation first and then the formal questioning after.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to come out today. I know this is an extremely busy day. And this is a good opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity to take a few minutes and describe some of my thoughts, some of my vision for things that I believe have been happening, are happening, and directions that we can go and should go within the college, especially in the areas of boosting enrollment and retention. I will tell you that my intention is rather broad brushed at this point in time. This is a very deep topic. We could talk on it for a long period of time, so I will be given a rather broad brush look at the topic. First of all, rather than begging the question as to which should we even be talking about it or not, there's a couple of points that we want to make. Number one is that enrollment at the college essentially has been flat for the last couple of years, and as a matter of fact, if we were to discount the dual enrollment students, which is where we're seeing a lot of our enrollment these days, we could make a strong argument that total enrollment is actually somewhat down. And it would be fair to say that, well, should we even care about that? And I'm sure there are probably some who would say a small institution is better than a large institution. And again, I would just give a couple of reasons why we possibly or probably should want to consider enrollment. One, of course, is our chancellor has established a goal of accepting 16,000 additional students in the system between actually 2004 and 2009. And secondly, if I could be a little more internal and maybe even a little bit more selfish, changes to the way that the colleges are funded these days base our funding on enrollment numbers. Not only enrollment numbers, but how well we compare to the other VCCS colleges. So the reality is, if, for those in the staff, if we liked the idea that the president was able to come up with some salary raises last year, from the faculty perspective, if we liked the idea that the president was able to add to the state-approved salary raises last year, if we like the idea that the college is able to get some new equipment, do some new things, and try to open a new campus in Williamsburg, then we have to recognize that the money comes from somewhere. And enrollment is one. So there's a number of ways to look at that particular issue. I also want to point out, as I'm talking here, the vision that the college has described. This is what we have committed. And I'm certainly not going to read it to you, but a couple of key points in there is individualized, flexible, technologically advanced education. We have committed to that. And we have committed to an education that meets the diverse and changing needs of both our students and our community. So those are statements that we have essentially established as the vision of this institution. I do believe that enrollment and retention go hand in hand. They're really talking about the same thing, and a number of the things that I'm going to talk about here today really, I believe, affect both of them. Since we are in an education institution, I've decided I would approach it in the way that we probably approach some of our classrooms. When we talk about a marketing class, one of the things that we'll always say in marketing is that there are what they're called the 4 Ps. We can always remember about marketing: price, promotion, product, and place. I'm not going to talk about price. Price is pretty well established for us, although there are some things that we can do to affect the amount of money the students pay. But essentially that's established for us. But other things are not. The first is promotion. We serve a large number of different kinds of populations. I would argue to you that promotion within the institution that is aimed at a student, a 17 to 19-year-old high school student or recent high school graduate who is sincerely interested in completing their bachelor's degree and perhaps going on to another level of higher education, that promotion should be different than the promotion that we make to an individual who is interested in career education, possibly to that adult who is looking for as a career changer, and quite frankly, to the promotion that we aim, if you will, at the market that is our employers. In promotion perspective, the motto I use is one size does not fit all. And we need to concentrate on those kind of things. A couple of things that I have in mind, and I didn't bring enough of these right by to see them, I didn't mean to. But for the academic area, for instance, the academic folks have started to develop some very specialized brochures. And many of you have seen these up to date. These are something brand new that have really been done through the academic folks. We use some Perkins money to get these kinds of things out, to allow people to see what it is that we do within the institution. Another means that I really sincerely would like to see us take on pretty soon is, I'll mention it to you later too, I do believe in watching your competitors. This is what one of our competitors did. This is a catalog. This happens to be the catalog of Embry-Riddle University, right up the street. This is a good way to send a message to individuals, because to be perfectly honest with you, this message is a little bit different than a 130-page printed book that is significantly always going to be out of date. This is something we are looking at very carefully once we get our new catalog developed. We're not going to stop doing printed catalog. We can't. We have to consider items like that. So I do believe that promotion is important. We need to decide, aim our promotion at who our students are, what our markets are. And I'm not only talking about individuals who are thinking about coming to the college. The promotion continues for individuals who are, while they are here, making sure that we provide them with as much information as we can as to what kind of course they need to take, what their options are after they finish college. What is the product? The product that we sell. We've been in business for 40 years. Some of the programs that we teach have probably been here for 40 years. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have got to be flexible. We have got to be paying attention as to what kinds of things people want and where to look. And you can do something as simple as the recent Sunday paper. If you look at the recent Sunday paper, we'll find over 2.5 pages of advertisements for medical field and technology. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us this community is looking for individuals in those kinds of fields. It's important that we be able to provide those to meet our commitments to the community. I'll give you another source. I didn't pass this out because I didn't really want folks to take a lot of time reading them, but I have copies here if you're really interested. This is just one of a myriad of reports that one can get. This is one that happened to be published by the Virginia Employment Commission, and it talks about in our region what are the fastest growing occupational areas and what are the areas that we predict will have the fastest decrease, which areas are going out of business. It's important that we look at these kinds of products, and I have a number of copies there if someone would like to take a look at them. I put on here some of the new programs that the college is looking at now. The transfer program, we have this science teacher education program where students can come here, finish a 2-year degree, and actually be dual enrolled at Old Dominion University to finish a teacher's education program. Now I want to emphasize that because that also refers back to what I talked about promotion. I wonder how many of you, especially students, have ever thought about coming to Thomas Nelson to become a K-12 teacher. I had a very informal conversation. For those of you who don't know, my daughter's a 4th grade teacher. And just for curiosity, I had a very informal conversation last week with her and a number of her fellow teachers. They were all from the local area, and I just asked them, had any of you ever thought about going to Thomas Nelson to start your education degree? And the answer across the board was no. And I honestly believe that they had nothing against Thomas Nelson. They didn't even realize that they had the opportunity to come here and start their teacher education program. I think that's important. You see some other programs that are there. We could talk about those, but those are just some examples of new programs that the college is actually working on these days. Where do we get the ideas for new programs? I showed you a couple in the paper. We see in published information. There are other areas. We have to be careful. Colleges tend to be insular. It is good to look at our advisory committees. It is good to talk to our faculty that have been here for a long time. But we also need to be looking outside the institution. No advisory committee that we have today would have suggested a program in modeling and simulation because we don't do anything like that. So we're not talking to those folks. So we have to be sure that we talk to people outside the area as well as inside. There's some of our industry partners, we can certainly talk about the local governments. And I really say, look at your competitors. It's important to pay attention to what our competitors are doing. Around here, most of our competitors, many of them are private. Many of them are proprietary. There are some folks who have this sort of mental sense that there's something wrong with those sorts of schools. I disagree. I think we should watch them very carefully. One thing I can tell you about the privates and the proprietaries is that they have the money. And they put the money into researching what is going on and looking at what is important. And so I can tell you that our friends up the street in ECPI, for instance, a year and a half ago, started teaching network security because it's an important area. It costs a lot of money, but they are teaching it. They are teaching radiography, which is a program we would like to develop. It costs a lot of money. But again, there's a demand there, and they're getting the students. So they bought the equipment, they did the lead line rooms, they did all that sort of thing because they find the demand, and we want to pay attention to those things. There are issues. First of all, facilities, they cost a lot of money, and we certainly know the issues we have with facilities. Unfortunately, we are in the process of hiring a new person to run our institution advancement area. We certainly hope we get some money in those areas. Curriculum development is difficult. Curriculum development is a function of faculty, and we don't have faculty on board who have expertise in some of those areas, so we don't have faculty members on board who can honestly develop curriculum in, let's say, radiography. The approach that we're taking, we just want to start taking next year is we set aside some of our Perkins money to be able to hire some individuals to come in and help us develop curriculum, because that seems like a good use of some Perkins money. Pat Taylor using some to develop a program in construction management right now. We also use some of that to develop a program in emergency medical services. Equipment and supplies, equally important. We recognize those are issues. They require a long-term commitment from the institution to be willing to put the resources and the money towards developing new programs. Is this something we all have to work on? The last of the P's is the place. Place is not only where but when we deliver courses. It's a fact that you may or may not be aware of. Over the last 2 years at least, and I really didn't look back any further than that, because I think things were different back then, but today, somewhere between 70 and 75%, it varies term by term, semester by semester, of our students are part-time students. We are not made up of a large list of full-time students. There are a lot of reasons for that. One of the reasons is the local employment opportunities are great. People can get a job. According to the data released on the 1st of June, just last week, the unemployment rate in Virginia is down to 3.1%. So there are jobs out. People are working. We know when people are working, it's difficult to go to school full-time. Now there are other issues as well. We certainly recognize that. On top of that, we have transportation. You all know what it was like to try to get through the Mercury Boulevard interchange for a while. I-64 is in pretty good shape right now, but the reality is if we ever get a budget, that's a question. If we ever get a budget, what's the next piece of I-64 we're going to work on? They're going to start tearing up the road between Newport News and Fort Eustis. That's going to make it considerably difficult, more difficult again, for all of our students on the northern end of the peninsula to come to class. It's a reality. It's going to make it difficult. And then we can certainly add the current issue of fuel costs, fuel prices. Are they ever going to go away? I don't think so. But even Walmart announced 2 weeks ago that their sales are down on the first orders in a long time. That their sales are down. They are blaming fuel prices. There's a reality there that we need to take that into consideration in order to be able to continue to serve our population. There are some issues that we can consider to help, and I'm going to talk very briefly about some of those. The first three I'm going to refer to just a moment because I got a little bit more information on distance learning classes. Blended courses are what we were calling hybrids for a while, different sessions. I think we really need to consider our entire schedule, and I'm not saying we want to change. But I'm saying we might want to reconsider such things as the schedule that meets on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday scenario, because that's requiring people to come to campus 3 days a week for the same information, and on Tuesday, Thursday, they come to campus on 2 days a week. That is a 50% increase in the amount of travel, the amount of cost, the amount of time a person doesn't have to devote to other things. I'm not saying we're going to change that. I'm saying we need to consider looking at things like that. We have an opportunity perhaps to teach some weekend classes. They certainly work for some of the other institutions in the area. Admittedly, not the 2-year degree, but the 4-year and advanced degrees, we see programs that operate on weekends that are very successful. But I think we have to look very carefully at location. And for instance, the more classes that we can develop and we can teach at the HT campus, eliminates some of the expenses for students traveling. The president is very interested in trying to deliver some classes in the East End of Newport News. And I think we may just have located a place where we may be able to offer some classes down there thanks to some of the faculty in the early childhood program who are delivering some classes down there and have found some interest in a church and perhaps providing us some space to deliver classes. And I think those are the kinds of things that we can do to help. I did say review the entire scheduling philosophy, and I have started a conversation with an expert within the system who's going to come in here and take a look at some of our scheduling and just give us some feedback to take a look at this whole thing. So again, I'm not saying we're changing it, but I think we have to think about it. Rather quickly, because I mentioned these other things beforehand. Here's some information what's happened in the distance learning classes. It basically says that we have added, or we've been offering a lot more distance learning classes than we have in the past. Up through summer, those are actual figures. Fall is obviously the number of classes that we are offering. We don't know how fall is going to go yet, but we've seen great success. Just to give you a piece of information, I looked at the program earlier this week for the fall semester. If you discount nursing labs and the med lab, because they're different, there are 27 full classes for the fall semester, including science labs. Of those 27, 13 are distance learning classes. Students are telling us they want distance learning classes. Figures support that. I know that there are concerns about retention rates and those sorts of things in distance learning classes, and I would tell you that some of the recent studies are showing that it's not so much the mode of delivery, but the services that are provided. The students have different things they're looking for. Yes, many of them look for a 24/7 operation in distance learning class. And we have to be able to adjust to that. They're looking for timely response from their faculty. But what I'm really saying is that there are studies that are saying that distance learning can be as successful as traditional classes depending on how we deliver it and what we provide to students. This blended or hybrid course is something new. The way we're teaching it is a student and a faculty member meet in a traditional setting at least once a week. And some of the other part of the course is delivered online. The things that does do is it reduces the amount of times the student has to come to class, it reduces the amount of time the instructor has to come to class, it gives the student some flexibility, it allows the student to test, to see what they think about distance learning without completely losing. This is something new. We've had some success with it. We're offering the first blended courses at the HT campus this semester in accounting. We have a number of them offered. This is not anywhere near as big as distance learning, and it may not turn out to be the best thing for everyone, but it is an approach. Many of you are aware of what we call the shortened sessions, the 8-week sessions. Here's some interesting statistics that shows you what's happened. We just started teaching courses this year in 8-week sessions, other than mostly our SDB 100 student development class. Most of the 81 FTE that we see in last fall were in the SDB 100. It was actually the beginning of the semester when the president suggested we start adding some additional 8-week courses. You see from the results, students, not all students, but there is a population of students who like to shorten the session. And I think that's another way that we can help to approach the needs of our population. Some of these are military, some of these are traditional students as well. They like that session, and you can see that it has definitely been productive. We'll talk about the area of retention. I think that all of those things affect retention. In addition to that, within retention, we really don't know. We have ideas, but we don't know why it is that students don't stay. And we need to work on that. We're doing some things. The Quality Enhancement Plan, many of you are probably aware of that. It's something that the college put together as part of our application SACS, does address student success and thus hopefully student retention in certain numbers of high-risk courses. An area that I do think we need to work on some more is academic advising. And I think that given what we have, the advising program is pretty successful. But I would say to you that the college missed an opportunity years ago when we changed the PeopleSoft and gave up having faculty advising, faculty advisors. Interesting study out of Christopher Newport University back in the fall that said that they determined after a major survey with their students that the number one issue the students were not staying at Christopher Newport was they were unable to get accurate, timely faculty advising when the courses attended. I found, talking to other folks, that a few of the other BCCS colleges have been able to work their way back into faculty advising. One of my goal would certainly be to work in that move, at least for our career courses. We did a very interesting survey. The faculty did a good survey, an interesting survey last fall. Student satisfaction, I think it told us a lot. The one thing to keep in mind, we did it at the end of the semester. So we really surveyed the students who persisted. We didn't survey the students who had left. I would suggest we want to continue those things. I would like to see us continue a survey for those of you who are staff and faculty that sort of models the climate survey that the president had done last month. It provides us with a lot of information. Follow on to that is the survey would provide us with information, and then I am proposing that we would develop some focus groups of students, talk about the results, talk about the inputs, and see if we can't start to get some solid information. What kinds of things can we do to help make this easier for students to stay? Last thing I was saying there is that we used to run some suggestion boxes. Some of you may have seen them, and we've done them both campuses. We haven't run them this year. I would like to reinstitute that, but I want to make a significant difference. I found that when we were doing them in the past, we would have some suggestions, they would take notes, we would distribute them among the vice presidents, people would make an answer. I guess the cabinet would look at them, but that's as far as it went. The part that we have to do, we have to correspond back to the individuals who put information in the suggestion boxes, so they know somebody saw it and they get an answer. The answer may not necessarily be the answer we want, but we have to send it back. There are a number of ways that we can do that. Through one of our student publications would be one. One of the approaches that I would like to take, and I really consider taking, is an email from student email boxes on a periodic basis, probably every 2 weeks or so, responding to some of the items that show up in the suggestion boxes. Two important points there. Number one is we have to show people that somebody read what they said and responded. And number two, we are encouraging students to use the student email system. The more we can do that, the better that. I think the better that helps us. I think it's very important to communicate responses. In conclusion then, from a broad brush look, there's a lot going on in the college. This is actually an exciting time to be involved in the college. I see a lot of activity happening over the next couple of years. They're happening now. They're going to continue to happen. I certainly look forward to the opportunity to continue to be a part of that, and I look forward to the opportunity to continue to work with many of you in this room to make those kind of things happen. And I thank you for your attention. I sincerely thank you for taking the time to come out here today. And I guess at this point in time, we'll go over any kind of questions that anyone might have. So if you don't mind, just we have a panelist here, I'm going to move over this way so I'm not standing with my back to the panelists, and I'll try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Travis, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Tom Long. I'm Professor of English and President of the Faculty Senate at Thomas Nelson Community College, and I want to thank my faculty colleagues who are here this morning. Each of the panelists has some questions for you, and the same questions, of course, we're going to be asking each of the candidates. I have some questions, so to give you my first one. Through the elected Faculty Senate, the faculty at Thomas Nelson Community College have a long-standing tradition of active participation in shared collegial governance and strategic partnerships with all of the college's stakeholders, both internal and external. Describe for us your philosophy of shared collegial governance and your experiences with shared collegial governance.
Well, let me take them in reverse. My experiences with shared collegial governance, certainly 2.5 years here at Thomas Nelson, we had shared governance. Prior to that, I worked at Johnson Wales University for just about 11 years. We had a similar system, although that's a private institution, but a very similar system, perhaps a little more complex system, because the way that it worked there, for those of you who are not familiar with that institution, they have campuses in 5 states. The faculty senate sat at the main campus in Providence, Rhode Island, but there were senators from each. We refer to them as branch campuses as well. And we would fund their traveling to meet and Senate meetings. The faculty senate there met with the vice president of, the provost. That changed the name. Faculty senate met with the university, met with the provost and the president, or the faculty senate met many year meetings with the president. My philosophy on shared governance is very simply that governance of the institution. That is certainly faculty. It's not only faculty, because I think all constituents need to be involved. But it certainly, primarily as faculty, if you just count the numbers, they are an overriding majority of the members of the university, or in this case, the college. And as we discussed earlier, clearly, faculty have ownership and responsibility for the curriculum. And it is very important that as we look at anything that involves the possibility of changes in the curriculum or changes in delivery of the curriculum, those not be administrative decisions, but that those be collegial, agreed upon, perhaps negotiated decisions.
Great, thank you. My second question is that despite constraints on resources and other challenges, the college's faculty has earned a remarkable 95% approval rating from 800 student responders in a survey last December. As an administrative leader, what attitudes, habits, practices of yours have you found to be conducive of faculty morale?
Well, I would hope that from a practice perspective, the fact that I anxiously listen to any concerns or any suggestions that any faculty member or other staff member have, and I take it very seriously, and I try to respond quickly. I try to respond in as positive ways as I can, and to make sure that I don't send a message or don't allow to send a message that says that things are happening in a vacuum. Because I do believe that an important part of morale is the folks to be involved. Now, I would say, I would go no further than, first of all, I agree very strong with what you say, and I think one of the biggest things that would support what you say is go no further than last month's graduation. Largest graduation in the history of Thomas Nelson. Great representation from faculty, and I know, you know, that every faculty member who was there voluntarily, or even off contract. That demonstrates very clearly the interest and the concern that the faculty have for the students who are going to walk across the stage and receive their diploma. And I think that sends a very strong message to the students as well. And I sincerely appreciate that. I think the faculty send a great message to students when they deserve it in the fall, when they really show that they're important. I appreciate the efforts of the faculty. Without the faculty, this institution wouldn't exist.
Thank you.
I should say, can you all hear me okay? I really don't like microphones.
I'm glad you weren't saying I don't like Mike.
Very careful about that.
Dr. Travis, I'm Michael Bruno. I'm one of 2 elected representatives for the middle managers across the college. And my first question is a kind of follow-up to Dr. Long's, more operational maybe, his first question. Please address how you would foster and reinforce a culture of collaboration across the college through your own efforts and those of your deans and other middle managers. Please address specifically working with student development and the non-credit workforce development groups.
Oh, okay. The answer is very similar to what we talked about with Dr. Long, because I do believe we do not want to make any decisions unilaterally or as humanly possible unilaterally. The important thing is to involve all of the stakeholders in any decision-making processes that we make. You mentioned our friends in workforce development. I think you've opened that door, a door that I suspect was somewhat closed for a while. I think we've done a very good job of opening that door here recently. I'll just give you a couple of examples. With working with the faculty, we now have very specific cases where we accept credit for some of the IT certifications that involve workforce development. We're accepting credit, or granting credit for some of the medical terminology courses in our new program that we are, or specialization in administrative support technology and medical office administration. There are other examples along those lines as well, but what we're really working on is to recognize that training that happens in workforce development, if a student who's taking training there reaches definable outcomes, and those outcomes match what we teach in academic perspective,
ideas about assuring that the historic triangle student and the distance learning student have the same rich experience as their Hampton classroom peers?
I think we have two different groups there. Or we should approach the two groups. Clearly, it's critical, as you're well aware, in the accreditation team, when they visited the student support services, and they dictate the student support services, at least the same services must be provided at any campus. Clearly, we don't have the staffing to provide the same hours of service, but it is absolutely critical that we provide the same services. We were very fortunate this year, we were able to hire our full-time position as a math tutor, that we can, quite frankly, double the math tutoring hours available at the HD campus starting next year. We'll continue to support those sorts of things. We have a new student development at the HD campus at this full-time. We are looking, we haven't made the finalized decision yet, we are looking at the possibility of assigning 1 or 2 full-time faculty to the HD campus. When I had that conversation, I think it's time that we move in that direction and we develop that campus. It's a little more difficult for the online student because some of the services are very difficult to provide. We do provide, obviously, all the library services that are available. Our student development office is working hard on their website to provide more information that is available to students and more support services available to students. I just had a conversation with the executive vice president of another one of our VCTS colleges about 3 weeks ago. And they're actually contracted with an outside organization. They are experimenting with an online advising system. They're doing a little bit through a grant to the state, so if they're successful, this will be something that will be available to all of the VCCS colleges. And this was a side conversation I had, and I intended to keep very much in touch with her to see how that is going. Because that is a service I think is very important. The same college is currently testing an online version of the compass testing, which I think is another service that we can provide because that helps us to provide a service to a student who really wants to be an online student. The last thing that I would add to that is we've made progress in being able to offer some of our certificate programs, especially our career study certificates, entirely online. We need to continue to move in the direction of trying to keep offering at least some of our more popular degrees, especially I would think some of our technical degrees, such as the IT, in a purely online basis. And we're going to move in that direction. We are making great progress.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Travis. I'm Jerry Newsom. I'm representing the College Support Staff Association here on campus. Thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. Based on your presentation, in what capacity could the faculty be involved in the development process of increasing enrollment?
Well, I think that as far as anything that has to do with the offerings that we have, courses, the mode in which the courses are delivered, the timing in which the courses are delivered, all of that is primarily a faculty function. And I think it's very important that we again, we do not try to dictate that. We work very carefully with faculty to develop things that the faculty are comfortable with, satisfied with, provide this kind of service. It's a slightly off your question, but I would comment that I would absolutely, I can think of no better word than thrilled of the amount of faculty support that came out for the last year. If there's ever a measure as how much support that you really have in the faculty, all you have to do is walk around the campus of the upper house, and it's absolutely clear. And that, quite honestly, is something that many, many institutions have never been able to achieve. Well, I think it's there. And what I should say, I know it's there. Our responsibility is to make sure that we involve the faculty and take advantage of that.
Thank you. Do you feel that the support staff could also serve in some capacity in the development process?
Again, absolutely, because the support staff, you're the ones, the support staff are the individuals who work with students and talk with students outside the class. They have the opportunity to keep inside the class, the support staff keep it outside. It is a team effort, it's a combined effort, and absolutely need to involve the support staff. No one, probably the one person who gets the real answer to the real question is, what do you need for new students to counsel sitting across from them desk the first time they go to school? Probably the one time you really get to ask a student, what do you really want to do? We need that sort of feedback.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, sir, I don't. Thank you again very much for your time. I would, is there anyone else in the audience have any questions? I'd be happy to try to answer them. Of course, I have an advantage over the other candidates, or you do, depending how you look at it. I'm here all day, every day, so maybe you'll have to limit your questions to the day. I would be, quite frankly, I would be very happy to answer any questions on the materials that I talked about today, if anybody has them at any point in time, because I do believe in them, and I certainly just gave you a very broad brush look at this point in time. Well, if I may, and I'd just like to reiterate what I said, I sincerely thank the folks for coming out today. I know this is a tremendously busy day. I know this is summertime. I know some of you are not even in classes today. And that shows a very real interest on your part as well, and I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And on behalf of classified staff and mid-level managers and faculty, we want to thank all of you for being here today as well. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if there's any formal feedback process put in place by the committee. Is anybody aware of one that I'm not aware of? What I would suggest then is that if you have comments on the candidates that you see in these open forums, that you address those in an email to Vice President Wright, who is chairing the committee on this search, in an email format, and then she can share it with her committee as we make their deliberations. Thank you again